back to Story Break. I'm Mike Champagne, I'm your host, and if you're tuning in for the first time, Story Break was designed to be a channel that offers you a chance to take a few minutes out of your day just for yourself to listen to a story. If you've been with us before, welcome back. Story Break has a special addition to our team today. We are very pleased to announce that composer David Finch has become part of the Story Break family. Today's story features music composed by him especially for this story. David has appeared on Broadway and in London's West End, and now he composes music for film and television, and happily for us too. Today's story is Uncle Kletus. In every family, there are secrets and treasures. In today's story, a family's secret is also its greatest treasure, and only the youngest member of the family knows about it. I hope you enjoy Uncle Kletus. Miss Ida had died. To her 6 children, she was always Miss Ida, not mother or mom or any of the warmer identifiers children assigned to the woman who bore them. She had 5 girls, my mother among them, and 1 boy, Kletus. While the girls had begrudgingly made their way back to their ancestral farm to honor a woman they all despised, Uncle Kletus didn't have to. He never left the farm. To his sisters, he was poor Kletus. In their summary judgment, Miss Ida had clung and clawed and bullied their only brother until he had no life of his own and no will to leave her. They descended on the farm, talking over one another, remembering, recriminating, comparing and competing in a welter of sweeping, cleaning, and preparing the house for the funeral. Neighbors would come to pay their respects to a woman who had little good to say about any of them. Miss Ida was one of theirs, but she truly had little to do with any of them. They knew her, of course. Some of the older neighbors remembered her as a beauty, a dead shot, a good seat on a horse, and a damned peculiar woman. My aunts and my mother remembered her as a cold and unloving woman who saw her daughters as burdens to be shed. They had fled this house as soon as chance presented. My mother was the only one who married, and so I had no cousins and no siblings, my father having died when I was an infant. For my part that first day, I stayed out of the way. I sat on the old porch swing with my sketchbook drawing pictures of everything I saw. I was small for my age, quiet and shy. Mother had to work to keep us going. Drawing and sketching was a refuge for me from the hours alone and the rough edges of the city. It took me over and soothed me in some way I couldn't name. It was both a solace and a passion, although at the time I didn't have those words to understand it. Uncle Kletus retreated from his sisters in the activity at the house, but when he saw me on the swing, he drew up to me and studied me for a moment. "What you got there, Bubba? Can I see?" I gave him the pad, and he carefully paged through what I had done, pausing on every page to look carefully at each sketch. When he had studied every page, Kletus ceremoniously folded the cover down on my pad and asked, "How come?" He looked at me under knotted brows with total concentration. I always draw. It's what I do." "Your mama look at these?" "She works a lot. She says she's got to keep us going." He looked at me for a long moment. "Come on, Bubba. I'm going to show you the farm." We rode an asthmatic ATV up to the milking parlor. Kletus sped the whole way, hitting every hill and divot on the way as I gripped the safety bar in terror and exhilaration. At the parlor, he switched on the light and opened the barn door to let the cows plod their way to their stalls. As he worked, he told me how he prepared the cows. These were the biggest animals I'd ever been so close to, and I hung back as far away from them as I could. Come on, you're going to put on the cups. Come on now. Can't be afraid of something new. He showed me how to attach the cups to the teats of the cows after their udders were clean. You ever milk one by hand? He asked, knowing the answer. I shook my head apprehensively. Well, you're going to milk one now. Come on over here. This here's Bluebell. She's gentle as they come and a good milker, too. Now sit on this bucket. This is how you do. He showed me how to squeeze down from the top. Ain't no reason to be scared. Here. He grabbed my hands and he made me pull with him. That's right. That's right. You got the feeling. While Mother and my aunts prepared for Miss Ida's big send-off, Uncle Kletus took me away from the dizzy activity at the house and the wrangling of his 5 sisters. We fed the chickens, and we slopped his 2 hogs, Rasher and Sizzle. Rasher's due soon. I reckon we'll keep 3 or 4 of them piglets, and then the 2 of them will be moving on. Moving on, Uncle Kletus? Well, that's the hard part of farming, Bubba. Everything has its time, even us. Chores is done. Let's have some fun. Uncle Kletus took me to the river that ran through the farm, and he showed me how to catch catfish. The next day we tubed on the river, and after that we went blackberry picking. Uncle Kletus didn't talk much, but these days were full of a conversation I had never had before. I didn't know why, but Kletus felt like a missing part of my life. Mother and my aunts fussed and fumed for 3 days getting ready for Miss Ida's funeral. There was a service, of course, duly attended by a congregation who came out of a sense of tradition, and then the burial in the little cemetery on the ridge. Afterwards, the attendants all came to the farm. I think most of them came out of curiosity to see the inside of Miss Ida's house after years of never being asked, and of course there was food. Afterwards, Aunt Christina, the oldest and bossiest of the aunts, said, "We done her proud." Not that she'd have thought so. The neighbors had eaten, looked around, and quickly grew bored, finding nothing of note to talk about. They offered polite sorries, and the whole event ended with the kitchen cleanup. I sat in the corner with my pad sketching this new world I had discovered, while all the aunts scraped and washed and put away the remnants of Miss Ida's memory. Uncle Kletus was placed at the table with a cup of coffee and told not to bother himself, while his sisters continued to clear away. He sat and sipped for a moment, looked over at me. "Got yourself a drawer there, Mary." Always got his nose in a pad. There must be dozens in his room at home. Keeps him busy. I don't know where it all comes from. Mother handed the good platter to Aunt Virginia. "Yeah, it's a mystery," he answered, still staring into his cup. "Well, we got some important business to discuss now that the funeral's over." Aunt Christina ceremoniously took off her apron and faced her other sisters with an air of importance. "Business? What do you mean, business, Christina?" Mother asked, and the other sisters turned toward her, urging silence with their eyes. "We have to talk about the farm. What's to be done with it?" "What?" Mother seemed surprised. 650 acres by the river, nestled in the mountains. This farm will bring quite a price when we sell it." Christina almost smiled as she folded her apron. "Sell it?" Mother looked at Kletus. "We sell this farm, and all of us will have a nice nest egg to live on. Kletus needs a chance. Stuck here all these years, no wife, no family. That was Miss Ida's doing. Now you can get on out of here and live a life, Kletus." Aunt Christina tried to sound soft, but her voice kept an edge even I could hear. Kletus looked down at his coffee. "Been living, Christina." "There's more than this, Kletus. You come and stay with me for a while you decide what to do." "My work is here. Kletus took a long sip of his coffee. Aunt Christina took a small step toward Kletus. Not no more, Kletus. Not once we sell the farm. I reckon I'm going to stay. We've been talking, we girls, and we think it's best for everyone we sell it and have a little security for later. You too. The other sisters all nodded, except for Mother, with whom this was obviously not discussed. Uh-huh. Well, I hate to disagree with you, Christina, but Mama put the farm in my name. Kletus floated the statement out and let it land. What? Christina stiffened. It's in my name. Kletus's voice was quiet and even. What do you mean she put it in your name? She done it a while ago. So, we won't be selling. We're all her family. It belongs to all of us. Y'all can stay on and share it. I reckon there's room enough. Christina seemed to teeter on her feet. Stay? Here? We keep out of each other's way. Reckon we'll get along. There was a subtle ironic twist in his tone. Well, that just beats all. Aunt Christina threw her apron on the table and stormed off upstairs to the room that she was sharing with Aunt Virginia. The other aunts went back to finishing their cleanup chores. Looks were passed, and they retreated to their rooms one by one. Only Mother and I remained. You sure, Kletus? Mother came to the table and sat with him. Miss Ida was a hard woman. You could say that. Kletus still sat. Christina and the others, well, I don't know what they were expecting, but I didn't know. If it's what you want, it's fine with me. You earned this farm and then some. You put up with her all these years, and I'm sorry we left you to it alone. She didn't make me stay. My work's here. He lifted his eyes sincerely to Mama. It's your choice, Kletus. Mother got up to leave. I want to ask you something, Mary. What's that, Kletus? If and he wants, and you don't mind none, you reckon Bubba could spend a little more time here? You too, of course. Mother looked at me. What about it, Clarence? Aunt Christina and the other aunts left the following morning with cold and stiff goodbyes, promising to come again, but I knew from their angry eyes that would never happen. Mama called her boss back home, and we stayed the next 2 weeks. Sometimes important things happen in ways that seem so small. Y'all come with me, Bubba. We had just finished the milking. Bluebell and the rest of the girls were let out in the pasture, and Kletus seemed distracted. We hiked up to the old barn on the hill. Its worn facade showed the same forlorn face to the world all the other outbuildings did. When we got there, I noticed that its side door had been padlocked. I'm showing you this, but you can't tell nobody, not even your mama. You got that? Kletus' eyes nailed me down. I nodded cautiously. I ain't never showed this to no one, just you. I reckon you're the one to know about it. Kletus dug into his overalls pocket and pulled out a worn and tarnished key and popped the lock on the side door. He looked back around to see if anyone was looking, and then he pulled me inside and quickly shut the door. Inside, the old barn was full of daylight. Windows had been fitted on the roof that shed light in every direction. As I stepped in, I saw a shape in the middle of the floor covered by an old bedsheet. Come on. Kletus led me toward the object, and I stood off a distance, a little afraid as he pulled away the sheet. It was a paint-spattered easel standing in the middle of the floor next to a tall wooden stool. On it was a large canvas full of shapes and colors, which, as I drew a little nearer, clarified to a rendering of a tree But not just any tree. It's the old oak by the pasture. The one you said was split by lightning? That's the one. It looks like it's hurt. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It's fighting for its life. You see that? Them shoots by the side, the way it grabs the dirt. You think it'll live? Wants to. We both stood there, staring at the painting. Finally, I turned to him. You did this, Uncle Kletus? He waited a moment. Yeah. Done the others, too. He gestured loosely with his arm and lowered his head, almost embarrassed. When I looked away from the painting, I noticed stacks of canvases in all the old stalls standing carefully all around. All of these? I couldn't believe how many there were. Like you, Bubba, it's what I do. 35 years. This here's my work. I looked back at the painting. It's like it's talking to you. I turned around, looking in every direction, my curiosity prickling my skin. Can I see? Go on, Bubba. You done showed me your pad. I guess I got to show you mine. As I went from stall to stall, Kletus followed me and watched. I was almost afraid to draw out the canvases. I did so with as much care as I could show. Painting after painting, all of them were of the farm, the buildings, the animals, the trees and rocks in all the seasons, and in each, even my 11-year-old eye could see the love and the feeling Kletus had put into every stroke. Each one conveyed something more than the subject itself. It made you see it with different eyes. I didn't know the fence looked just like that, Uncle Kletus. I had pulled out an especially big piece that showed the split-rail fence slowly falling into the snow. At the end of one stall, I found a small canvas tucked behind the others. When I pulled it out, I heard Kletus shuffle a little and clear his throat. It was a portrait of my grandmother. She was sitting on the porch swing with a bowl of peeled potatoes. The light seemed to flare right into her milky blue eyes. She sat there staring into it, her hands in her lap with a look that was halfway between fear and sadness. Mama had all of us, but she was alone. Is that what she looked like? It ain't what you see, Bubba. It's how you look at it. His voice was quiet in a way I couldn't place. I come here and it kind of takes me over. Well, now you know. The only one. Oh, don't you want people to see this, Uncle Kletus? All of these? Oh, no. I don't reckon. A farmer making pictures? I looked back once again, being drawn into the painting, but this is good. Don't know about that, but it's just something I gotta do. But you can't tell nobody. This here's our secret. I showed you 'cause you know how it feels. I want you to keep that feeling. Makes a life worth something. I looked back at the painting of the old tree, mesmerized. You ever done paint? I shook my head, looking between him and the painting. Then and there, he set me up an easel of my own and an empty canvas. For the next 2 weeks after chores, I went to the barn with Uncle Kletus. That first day, I didn't know what to do, so I watched Kletus finish his tree, how he used the paint and how he stopped and looked and then went back to add a stroke or blur another. It seemed so simple, but when I looked at my own blank canvas, I couldn't move. Finally, Uncle Kletus moved over to my easel with a brush in his hand. He reached down and put a huge blob of brown and black right in the middle of it. Can't be afraid of it, Bubba. Do something with that. The more I looked at the blob, the more it reminded me of my first time ever fishing with him. I pulled out lines and planes from the blob and added colors to try to make the memory come out. I had never felt paint before. This was a new world, and it took hold of me like Uncle Kletus said it did to him. By the end of our stay, I had painted a catfish on a log with a hook still in its mouth. It was primitive, a little childish, but I was more proud of it than anything else I had ever done. Uncle Kletus put his hand on my shoulder, and we both stared at the painting I had done sitting on the second easel. You done good, Bubba. Will you keep it for me, Uncle Kletus? Oh, don't you want to take it home, Bubba? Mom, she'll want to know. She'll ask all kinds of questions where I got the paint, the canvas. Oh, now, look what I done. That's my fault, I guess. His eyes cast down, seemingly deeply sorrowed. Well, you keep it for me, Uncle Kletus. It'll be part of our secret. I wanted to lift him. I feel bad you can't keep what you worked on. I know I keep mine. They're like the best of me. I can't let them go. It's okay, Uncle Kletus. Now I know how to paint. I can do more. He looked at me for a long moment. Y'all something special, Bubba. You gotta know that. I'll keep it. And if you promise to come back and paint me another. I promise. When we got back, the recession hit. Mama lost her job, like a lot of people. We struggled. There was no way to get back to the farm. Canvas and paints were out of reach, but I scrounged paper and watercolors from school, and I painted. Street scenes. I painted compulsively. I remembered, it ain't what you see, it's how you look at it. I tried to find the life in everyday things like Uncle Kletus. Every now and then I folded one up and mailed it to Uncle Kletus. I knew if I wrote to him, he wouldn't write back. A high school art teacher saw one of my paintings and entered it in a show. It won an honorable mention. I mailed that and the painting to Uncle Kletus. When I was old enough to work, I bought canvas and paint. My room looked like a museum storeroom. Gradually, people began to notice. There were contests and local shows. There was a scholarship, and suddenly I was in a world I had never even guessed about when I went with Uncle Kletus to the secret barn. Mother watched my rise with a mixture of apprehension and wonder. I had no idea. Where is all this coming from, Clarence? I couldn't tell her. I had promised. By now, I had begun to be noticed by a few critics who saw me as an eye on the city's soul. Gave me a swell head for a while. But I remembered how Uncle Kletus kept farming all the while he painted. He didn't paint for recognition. He painted to paint, to satisfy whatever it was that he felt about the world around him. And I tried to put away my ego. One morning, Mother got a large registered envelope in the mail. I was sitting at breakfast, getting ready to go downtown to a little group studio I had rented in. Kletus died. This is from a lawyer down there. He left you the farm. He what? I couldn't process anything past Kletus died. He wasn't that old. It says it took a few days to locate our address. There was some kind of fire. He was injured. They buried him a week ago. He left everything, the farm and all its contents, to you. We took a train and a bus, Mother and I, with no real plan what to do. We went to the old courthouse to pick up the keys and the documents that conveyed ownership to me. The clerk was an elderly man who approached us quietly. "Right sorry about your brother, Mary. Kept to hisself too much, but he was a good man. And you, young man, you must be Bubba. Oh, when he come to town, he only talked about you, what an artist you are. He was right proud of you." "The letter we got talked about a fire?" Mother had to ask. "Oh, weren't nothing much to it. Just a old barn. House is fine. He took a burn, nothing serious, just kind of went downhill. Should have been fine, but he seemed to fade out." My spine froze. I was able to rent a car, and we drove to the farm. All the way there, I prayed it was some other outbuilding, not Uncle Kletus' secret barn. But in my heart, I knew it had to be. I hid my thoughts from Mama, remembering my promise to Kletus, and I controlled my impulse to run to the barn first. The house had a stillness a dwelling owns when its occupant is gone. The things touched and used are still in the place left by the person, and the testament they bear of his life still hung heavy. Mother immediately set about straightening and removing that testament, but I looked down at the bunch of keys in my hand, and there on the wire ring was the old tarnished key to the barn. I told Mother I had to check on something without revealing my intention, and I nearly ran the long distance up the hill to the place Uncle Kletus shared with me 10 years before. Even from a distance, I could tell that only part of the structure still stood. The back half of the barn was entirely gone. The roof with its windows had collapsed. Only the front entrance stood. There was the door with its old padlock still in place, guarding nothing but a charred hulk. I passed and paused by the door for a moment, wondering if I might find something. I slipped in the key, and the old lock gave way. The door creaked open almost as a greeting, and I walked through. A few ribs of the structure still stood, and the skeleton of the stalls where Kletus kept his trove. I walked over to that area, and all I found were the charred remains of canvas stretchers and bits of burned canvas with some daubs of paint on them. The entire catalog of his work was gone. There was nothing. I stood there unable to move for a long time. Finally, I realized there was nothing for me to do here, and Mama was waiting for me back at the house. I trudged down the hill, deeply lonely for a man, my uncle, who I knew for only 2 weeks a decade ago. My grief, I knew, was not only for the man, but for that incredible body of work I had seen, for that still crisp memory of all those wonderful paintings. Now, with my grown eye, I knew that Uncle Kletus had possessed a genius that no one else would know. I couldn't support the injustice of it, the loss of all that unseen beauty. When I got back to the house, I did my best to pull all the sorrow back inside. I had promised, and I would keep my promise in Kletus's honor. I went through the door, and Mama greeted me in excitement. "Clarence, you've got to see." "What?" In the parlor. Come on. You won't believe it. She led me quickly to the parlor, and there, around the walls, were all the watercolor paintings and certificates I had sent Uncle Kletus through the years. He had smoothed the paintings and hung them all around the room with the honors they had won. Look at what he did. He put everything up. And look at this. She led me to a corner of the room. And there, in a place of honor, was my catfish painting. I didn't know you painted this. When did you do it? A while ago. I don't remember when. Did you send it to him? Yes. It was my first. I wanted him to have it. Mama frowned in confusion. What about the other two? What other two? So different, so wonderful. They're just wonderful. In the dining room. She led me to the simple dining room, and there, on the far wall, were two smaller paintings. One of an old woman, Miss Ida, peeling potatoes, and another of a boy, me, proudly holding up a catfish. My mother was quiet for a moment, just staring at the paintings. She seemed so lost. It's funny, but I feel sorry for her. And the one of you, well, look at that boy. It's like he's holding the prize of the world. I looked at both paintings, unable to speak for a moment. He is, Mama. He is. I hope you enjoyed Uncle Kletus. When we return next time, I'm going to bring you another story called St. Ralph. St. Ralph is a story about a man who decides to wage war with the Almighty, and the outcome is anything but predictable. I hope you'll join us then for St. Ralph. And in the meantime, stay well, do good, and I'll see you then.